Go ahead. Good morning. Good morning. We are back for another week of Power Plug Radio presents Jumpstart Your Business with Stephanie A. Wynn. I am your host of this week's. I'm the host every week. So we're going to get right to it. First, just thank you all for tuning in. I apologize for us not starting right on time for those who've texted me. But we're going to get into this week's topic. It is going to be so good, everybody, because guess what? We're going to talk about our brands today. The purpose of this business segment is to bring you all information that can help you with your business, your brand, and for my authors, your book, right? So we're going to get right into this morning. Thank you all for our online listeners, powerplugradio.com. Our Facebook Live listeners, thank you all for tuning in. And if you all are listening via the app, thank you all for just tuning in to the Power Plug Radio Jumpstart Your Business with Stephanie A. Wynn. So during this Power Hour, we will cover business topics that will assist those who are seeking to start their business and for those who are in the business but seem stuck, right? So let's talk about the weather today. Oh, we're in Florida and it is cold. Okay. The high today is going to be 66 degrees. And that's freezing to me. Like, oh. And the low is going to be 54. So listen, as always, be safe out there. Stay warm. In the state of Florida, you might get all 4 seasons in one day. So today may be one of those days. And so let's keep it moving. So I always like to talk about, our health check of the week. How are you all doing your self-care day? Are you all taking time to, take care of yourself? No, maybe so. Remember, you got to take one day and just remove yourself from, the grind, like the hustle and the bustle, right? So how are you doing that? Are you just making sure that you take care of yourself? You going on a spa day? Maybe you're going to the beach, you're going for a walk in the park. What does that look like? So good morning, Kalita. If you all can hear me, put a thumbs up for my Facebook family. And again, like I said, you want to do a self-care day. We need to take care more. We need to love on ourselves more. We need to take care of our bodies more. We need to remove a lot of the things we feed our bodies, like the toxic things, the things we see on TV, and get more in tune with who we are as individuals and believe in ourselves, right? There's nothing better than self-love, right? So I always like to start the show with starting a business can be exciting and scary at the same time. But before you start your business, you must start with the renewing of your mind. So what's the renewing of your mind? That is you having a growth mindset. So if you want to start a business, you can't go into business with this fixed mindset that I want success to happen right now when you haven't put in any work. I should have been successful. Nothing is happening for me. It's not happening quick enough for me. No, that's not the mindset you want to have. You want to have a growth mindset. You want to be willing to grow your business, meaning I'm going to learn and absorb as much as I can so that I can better myself as a individual and as a business owner, right? Remember, even the wealthiest of the entrepreneurs out here, they learn as much as they can. They also don't expect things to pop off overnight, meaning they get the very best on their team that's going to push them and move them forward, right? So, again, we want to take our time and get as much information as we can that's positive, and we want to grow. We got to grow. You got to feed yourself positive things. You got to get your personal life in order. I always talk about this. If your personal life is not in order, it will show up on your business side. I'm just saying, right? So let's get into this week's topic. We're going to talk about protecting your brand. So I talked about in the first week of the show back in December when we talked about brand versus branding. What do those two terms mean? The brand is, the logo, the marketing tools, the brand, how you want the brand to be visualized when your audience see your brand. So we're going to use, for the purposes of this episode, we're going to use Starbucks. I like using Starbucks because Starbucks has an amazing business model. I also like using Chick-fil-A. Somebody in the kitchen is Southern making that macaroni and cheese at Chick-fil-A. I'm just saying. And I can't even eat that. But listen, that mac and cheese at Chick-fil-A. Okay. So I chose this topic because we are so busy establishing our business, writing the business plan, writing the business model, working the business, marketing the business. But one thing we fail to do, that is protecting our brand. Somebody may say, Stephanie, what do you mean by protecting our brand? Well, let's talk about that. So I'm going to break this down. First part of this, I'm going to talk about what does it mean to protect your brand. And I'm going to put a disclaimer right here. I'm not an attorney, right? So the purpose of this segment is for informational purposes only. So I want to put that disclaimer out there first. I'm just simply dropping nuggets. I want to talk about some terms that we all as business owners need to understand and we need to become familiar with, because I research a lot, I read a lot. And one thing I understand is it makes no sense for you to put all your money into a logo, into the name, for somebody to come back and say, you got to stop using that because it sounds too much like my business, right? So you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So we're going to dive right into it. So you've started the business. You've obtained your LLC, right? But have you thought about protecting your content or your brand, and in your brand? Have you thought about that? Your website, you got a pretty website. People visit your website all the time. It's really nice. It's clean. Oh man, if I could just get my website like hers. Her website looks amazing. And you blog. Let's say you blog, right? And someone goes on your website and they take one of your blog posts and they use that post, that content, right? They use that content and they go and put it on their social media platform. But you're not protected. So we're going to get into that, right? So let's talk about a trademark. What is a trademark? So trademark is just a word or a phrase. You notice, like, sometimes you'll see someone, they may have a slogan or a tagline, but they may have TM behind it. So we're going to use Starbucks for an example for the purposes of this episode. A trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, and or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of the goods of one party from those of others. So an example. When we see Louis Vuitton, we know the LV stand for Louis Vuitton. The purpose of them registering their their mark is so that there is no confusion when the people see their brand. There's no confusion of Louis Vuitton. Now we know to knock off Louis Vuitton because Louis Vuitton has branded themselves in a way that we know what it looks like when we see them. Gucci, right? Same thing. Chick-fil-A, same thing. Starbucks, same thing. Now, we go through these terms and then I want to break this down. So the next one is service mark. So a service mark is a word, phrase, symbol, and or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of a service rather than goods. Some examples include brand names, slogans, and logos. The term trademark is often used in a general sense to refer to both trademarks and service marks. Does that make sense? So if you see the TM, next to someone's name, like tagline, like Let's Talk Business with Stephanie A. Wynn podcast. There's a TM there because I'm in the process of trademarking my podcast, right? So that's a service mark. So let's talk about copyright. Copyright protects original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works, such as poetry, novels, movies, songs, computer software, and architecture, right? So the duration, let me talk about the duration of a copyright, because a lot of people don't understand. We write these books, we become these authors. And I just want to break down the length of time your book or your copyright will be valid. So during the duration of a copyright protection depends on several factors. For works created by an individual, protection lasts for the life of the author plus 70 years. So if an author passes away, it's their life plus 70 years, right? For works created anonymously, pseudonymously, and for hire, protection lasts 95 years from the date of publication or 120 years from the date of creation, whichever is shorter. Right? So we're going to get into this word that has reared its ugly head here lately for me, right? That's the purpose of me having this topic, because I've seen people go to my website and they've used my content and put it in ebooks and put it on their social media platform, and they run with it, right? And so when you work hard and you have copyrighted your works and then people go and they use it, you have a legal team that will send out a cease and desist letter to these individuals, right? And a lot of times people, they don't understand or they don't realize what I know they say they don't know, but I feel as though, and I normally don't like to put emotions in it, but if you go to the website and you pull the blog or you pull the information content from the website, you know what you're doing. It's plagiarism. All right? For those who went to college or high school, you get caught cheating, that's enough. You fail, right? So here, this is called copyright infringement. What is copyright infringement? Copyright infringement is when a copyrighted work is reproduced, distributed, publicly displayed, or made into a derivative work without the permission of the copyright owner. So in simple terms, you go to someone's website, you see a paragraph, you take the information from the paragraph, you use it as your own content. That's copyright infringement without getting the permission of the person of that website. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. I'm gonna break this down. I have a blog on my website, and a lot of my blogs have different things about business tips, right? Resources and whatever. So someone goes to your website, you look at your blog, they see a topic, they go and they use it. They go in and maybe design maybe a flyer, or they design an ebook, or they design a workbook, or some type of form of content, but they used your content to put inside their newly designed content. Does that make sense? So that's copyright infringement, especially if they have not. It's simple. You reach out to the person, you ask this person, is it okay to use your content? It's simple. It's simple. Just reach out to the people. You be surprised. They may be honored and say, yes, but come on now, we got to do better. But again, we got to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. So if you want to join this discussion, protecting your brand, you can call in to 727-686-0512. You can also listen live on Facebook Live, Power Plug Radio, Jumpstart Your Business with Stephanie A. Wynn. This is a really good topic I want to speak about because it's something that occurs all the time. We're not protecting our brands. We spend so much money getting the business cards, the logos, writing the book, getting all these things in place, and we don't protect our brand. Publishing companies are telling you that because their job is to do what you paid them to do, to publish your books. So for the author, my author friends, if your goal is to use your book to maybe be a coach or to maybe be a consultant or to start doing motivational speaking, you need to protect your brand. I see a lot of people using certain taglines, and I go and I look and someone else is using that exact same tagline. And it's better to protect your brand in the beginning than to get 5 years down the line. And now you got to stop using that because the other person has decided to, I'm just going to go and I'm going to, submit my application to trademark this, and they get it first before you. Right? So this goes back to that word procrastination. We got to stop procrastinating and getting this thing done. Got to get this done, right? So let's talk about how do you end up with not protecting your brand? Because we just don't know. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. There are a lot of things out here. There's a lot of things you can do in the meantime until you can start. You can submit your application to trademark. But before you submit your application, if you say, well, I don't have enough money to do that, that costs a lot of money. Okay, let's talk about that. One thing about entrepreneurship and starting a business, we know it's going to require 3 things. And that is investment, because you have to spend money to make money, right? That's number 1. And number 2 is effort. Got to put in effort. And number 3 is time. It's a fact that you must put in time in your business. You don't have a business if you don't have time. I don't have time to do that. Okay, so what do you have? Just a hobby? I'm just saying. So, copyright infringement is really, it's real. It's so real. And a lot of brands protect themselves. So let's talk about Starbucks. You know that Starbucks doesn't really have to advertise their products, right? Because they believe so much in their brand. Starbucks can charge the premium prices for their coffee because they've invested enough brand equity in their business model. So they could charge the premium pricing for the coffee, right? So those strawberry freshers with the acai, oh man, so good. The I think they got the mango refresher. Right? They can charge whatever they want to charge because they've put in enough effort and time, which equates to brand equity. So again, if we're spending the time to get the LLC, we're spending the time to get the logo, we're spending the time to go and get the business cards, we're spending the time, we're spending time doing all of that, but we're not taking the time or making the time to protect our brand. If you don't have the funds right now, your brand, you need to start putting that TM behind your name of your business. And then you need to do a research to see if someone else has that name. Like, get with a legal team that can help you protect your brand the right way. Because I'm telling you, someone will come for you. I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. They will. And they will tell you to stop it. Because you don't want to get caught up in a dispute in court. You can look it up and research it at the USPTO.gov. It's nothing nice. It is nothing nice. In fact, it is, I think it's upward. Like you can be in court for like $200,000 or better for a dispute. Come on, man. It's time to, you don't want to be out of business before you even get in, So it's time to like level up. So we're going to go on a break. We're going to go on a quick break, 5 minutes, and we'll be back next time. The next portion of this segment, we're going to talk about podcasting and radio show interviews and how we need to protect ourselves on that level. A lot of people don't know that, listen, I learned so much this week that I got to give it to the people. And so the purpose of this episode is to bring the information that I learned and to just impact and empower the community. We'll be back.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams. You're listening to Power Plug Radio. home of your throwback jams.
We are back. Thank you all for tuning in. Uh-oh. We are back. We are so back. We are back. We are back. And we're going to get into the second part of the show. So I want to talk about those who are listening that may be authors, maybe coaches, consultants, maybe influencers, or simply motivational speakers. So for those that have a podcast and a live web show, how are you protecting your podcast and your live show? Do you have systems in place when people reach out to you to be a guest on your show? I know a lot of radio influencers, we follow each other, podcasters, we follow each other. But when someone reaches out to you to be a guest on your show, do you have them sign a podcast release, media release form? What this is, and the reason why I want to talk about this, if you don't, let's talk about it. If you're having guests on your shows, and let's just say you use their picture and that audio, say a year from now or 5 years from now, they come back and say, hey, I don't like the way my voice sounded. I don't like the way my picture looked. That episode that you recorded of me, I want that taken down. What are you going to do? You going to get mad? You going to get frustrated? You got to take it down. You know why? Because you don't own that. You haven't gotten the authorization from that individual, that guest, to use their picture and their voice on your platform. And it can get really ugly quick. So it's time for us, when we talk about I need to level up and I need to take my business to the next level, it's time to really level up. You have those podcast media release forms. If you don't, you need to get them. You need to get them ASAP. When people are on your platform and they want to come and be a guest, when they request to be a guest on your platform, you need to protect yourself. When we start thinking about, I just, and you're just looking out because, you want them to come on, you want them to share their nuggets, you want them to be, you want them to be great because that's the person you are. But let's just say your podcast or your radio show blows up and it's 1000x, 100,000x, right? It's become a really popular show. They will come for you if they don't have this form on file. So let's talk about that. What is a podcast media release form? So a podcast media release form is a form authorizing you, the host, to use the guest episode on your podcast platforms and their photos and etc. So even for radio shows, like you got to protect yourself. Like you have to, if you believe in your brand, you will implement these things in your business ASAP. You want to make sure if you interview a youth, like say someone will come on your podcast and they're under 18. And then their parents come back years later and say, hey, we didn't authorize you to put our kid voice on your show. Take that off. You're in the money now. You're making the money. They're coming for you. I promise you they do this. This is what they do. How are you protecting your brand? You just leaving it open for people to just, you work hard for it. You work hard for this very thing. And all you wanted to do was have that little kid tell their story on your platform. But you neglected to get the media release form from their parents. And so here we are with a nasty letter from their lawyers or from a threatening letter from their lawyers to take it down. I'm just bringing this to you all because this needs to be talked about. We don't talk about this enough. We talk about, oh, you need to brand, do you need brand development? We need to create the websites. We need to develop, you need to get these social media templates. You need these carousels. You need all of these things. But nobody talks about the legality of protecting your brand. I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to put that out there. I'm not a lawyer. But what I do know is that I was advised by my legal partners that I need to protect this very thing that I'm working so hard for. Me dropping these nuggets, I need to protect that. If you have a Facebook Live show every week, or however often you're having it, and you're having guests on your show, you better make sure that you have them sign a podcast release form. Because the minute that it appears that you're on 10,000 now, or if they feel like I didn't like my hair that in that episode, I want them to take that down. And especially if you have a web show with a group of people, and let's say that episode, it was good. You got good ratings. The ratings went through the roof. What are you going to do? I'm just saying. And all you wanted to do was give the information out to the people. So let's talk about that. Shout out to Janelle. Hey, Janelle. Thank you. Hey, Velma. Kalita. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook Live. I'm saying, listen, if you have a live show, if you're promoting somebody else on your platform, you need to start protecting your brand. This isn't about, the logo and the marketing. This isn't about like getting likes and, converting people, converting. They see your thing, they convert, and they buy your brand, your product or services. Let's go. We gotta step back. How are you protecting your brand? Again, I'm going to break this down for you. If somebody's on your live, your Facebook Live, and you're talking about a good topic, this topic can really it's changing lives. And that person, one of the people on the panel said, hey, man, my hair, I saw the track in my hair. It was showing out. I don't like that. I didn't like the way my voice sounded. They gonna come for you. They want that taken down. Now, can you take me off of that? What can you do? If you don't have this media release form in place, what can you do? Does that make sense, y'all? So again, I'm gonna say this again. If you have a radio show and you're having guests on, listen, this week I learned so much. So anybody want to come on the Jumpstart Your Business with Stephanie A. Wynn segment, you can't get on here without signing a media release form. I'm sorry. I'm putting it out there because I'm protecting my brand. We got to protect our brand because people will do that. They will do just that. I was on your segment and no. And then here's another deal. I'm just going to drop this nugget for you guys. Say they on here and you're sharing their content. In that media release, you need to have that too, where you're able, that content that you generating for them, who owns that content? You or the guest? I'm just saying. This all about starting your business. It's not to scare anybody. It's just to educate us so we can learn and do better. We got to do better. We got to get out this chitlin circuit. And for those that don't know what the chitlin circuit is, that's what the musicians used to use when they, in the South, when it was almost like they were hustling backwards, but that was the only way for them to make money. They was on this chitlin circuit going into these different, hole in the wall clubs and playing their music, right? Same thing. It's still entrepreneurship. We'll start the business. We'll start marketing. We'll start generating revenue, making money. And, I want to take my business brand to the next level. But first of all, if you don't have any system in place, your business is not moving nowhere. Inward, outward, side to side, it's not moving anywhere. You got to have systems in place. And then on top of that, before you put the systems in place, let's start working on protecting the brand first. Starbucks doesn't have to advertise their business. You know why? They got that R in the circle, the register mark, next to their logo. So people take them serious. They believe in their brand. It's a registered mark. I can't take that and use that logo. It's registered. You don't even see the CEO of Starbucks. The logo does it for itself. They advertise for themselves. They believe in their brand so much that they've invested enough brand equity to implement registering their trademarks, implement protecting their brand. They don't worry about Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme. You know why? Because they know that what they're selling is of value. I always say that. Whatever you're selling, is it of value to your audience? So if you want to join the discussion this morning, 727-686-0512. Again, do you have a podcast or a live web show? Do you have guests on your podcast or a live web show? Do you have guests? Are you interviewing the people on your show? And have your guests signed a media release form? If you're conducting podcast interviews or live show, radio show interviews, your guest should be signing a media release form. That should be like, I'm just dropping this because a lot of people, they don't know. They don't know. People are starting podcasts all over the world, all over the country. And they're so worried about monetizing their shows and not legalizing their show. Because we're so consumed and driven by money. Money is just a tool and a resource. We gotta get out of that being enslaved to money. Because if your business is shut down, it doesn't matter what the people say. You're not gonna be in business. Do you know, as an author, my subtitle, your content is copyrighted inside the book, but the title is not. So if someone says my book is Ready, Set, Go, A Simple Guide to Establishing a Successful Small Business. So the subtitle is A Simple Guide to Establishing a Successful Small Business. If somebody said, that sounds too much like my book, they can require that I either, one, share 50% of my royalties with them, or two, I got to stop using it. I'm just saying, it's that technical. It gets deep like that. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm just saying this I'm bringing this information to the people, to the community, so that we as a community, as a culture, just can start leveling up our business. We got to do better. So we know better, we do better, right? So again, if you're not protecting your brand, you got to protect it. It's time to start today. If you cannot afford it right now for the trademarks, If it's a title of your name, you might want to start using the TM behind your name until you can get that thing, that very thing that you've worked hard for, trademark. If you have a tagline, trademark it, service market. I mean, you got to. I mean, this is, again, it's not to scare anybody. It's just for you to start thinking on the lines of, okay, I got my LLC. And a lot of times we get LLC because that's the easiest entity to establish. But an LLC may not be good for your brand. You might need an S Corp. You might need to incorporate your business or a C Corp, depending on how big you are. Come on now, we got to do better. We got to do better. We must do better. And yeah, it may require you filling out more paperwork and keeping, on top of things. But the reward in the end is going to be, I'm so glad that I did this because now I could focus more. I've gotten this out of the way, the protection part. Now you can leverage your business. Now you can take the business and you can move it forward. Propel it forward to be great. Now you can start really doing what you created this very business to do. You've gotten that all out of the way. And that's just, just getting things done the right way. So, again, I'm going to say this again. Do you have a podcast or a live web show? Do you have guests on your podcast or live web show? Have your guests signed a media release form? If you are conducting podcast interviews, your guests should be signing a media release form. I'm just saying. Let's just say your say Anchor is your podcast hosting, like that's the platform that you're using your podcast for, and Anchor is involved in some type of discrimination or some type of, like they've been in the media of something that they did. Like you want to be able to protect your brand from that too. Or you partner with, like Stephanie A. Wynn partners with Power Plug Radio to bring you all this. And Power Plug Radio is involved in a legal situation. Like I got to protect my brand and my client and my guests that come on the show. We have nothing to do with that legal issue with the radio show, So this is what I'm saying. Like, these are things that we have to do. Yeah, it may sound like, oh man, it's just another form I got to fill out. Oh man, it's just an extra step. I don't have the time. How am I going to make the time? You need to put systems in place and automate it. Somebody reaches out to you, they want to be on your show. You should have a system in place for that. You should have a system in place. I'm just saying. They reach out to you, you respond. Here's a form that you need to fill out before you can even schedule your recording or before we can schedule you to be live on our show. Sometimes we're so excited about getting on a show or, being a part of something because we want to tell our story. So I know I've been there and done that. You're so excited to tell your story. You're so excited to share the product and services that you offer, but you're not even thinking about protecting your brand. That's why you have to do your due diligence. So if you know what to do, because they're going to do theirs. When people research, corporations and companies, they have legal team that researches if someone has used their brand, their logo. That's what they do. Yes, that's what they do. So, what do you guys think? Like, for my Facebook Live people, has this been really good nuggets this morning? Have you all drop a thumbs up in the comments if you all have really been getting some good tips from this. Again, my goal is to simply, I'm not an attorney, but I am here to give you informational tips on protecting your brand. So let's talk about, again, let me tell you about what is a media release form for those that came in late on it. A podcast media release form, simply put it's a form authorizing you, the host, to use the guest episodes on your podcast platforms and their photos and etc. So they're authorizing you to put their picture on your flyer, put their picture on the platform. They're authorizing you to do so. Okay, Janelle said yes. This is much appreciated. Okay. Listen. This is some good. And Velma said, yes, great tips. So I'm just saying, the purpose of this is because if someone comes on your platform, excuse me, and does an interview, let's say a guest comes on 1 year from now and they say, I don't like the way my voice sounds in that episode, remove it. Or I don't like that picture, take it down. And you don't have this podcast media release form from this guest, they tell you to take it down. You got to take it down. It can happen. So it's just time to protect your brand. Does that make sense? And then for those, I'm going to give you guys the business tips takeaway for this episode. Okay. So I always like to give tips that you can use to apply to your business, right? Each week. So number one, you want to protect your brand. Stop leaving your content unprotected. By that, I mean, get your information trademarked. Get your content copyrighted. Get your name of your business trademarked, right? Number two, spend time researching if your brand name is already taken. Do that first. Get the research and do that first before you start anything else. Once you've figured out the entity, the next thing you should do is trademark. You get the entity established. Next is trademark. Number three, start implementing legal documents to protect your brand. You're doing the research. After you've done the research, now it's time for you to get with a legal team that can start helping you get your brand protected. Did you guys get that? So the 3 tips, and for my Facebook folks, it's on the screen. Protect your brand. Stop leaving your content unprotected. Number 2, spend time researching if your brand name is already taken first. Number 3, start implementing legal documents to protect your brand. And how do you do that? That's where you get with the legal team to help assist you with completing those forms, or you get those bundles. So if you have questions about, well, Stephanie, how do I do that? Can you help me do that? Go to my website, stephaniewynn.com. I will definitely help you. My legal team and I will help you. We want to help you all get this done the right way. And it doesn't cost what you think. Oh, that's so expensive. Not to protect. If it's your brand, you'll do whatever you got to do to protect your brand. You'd rather pay $1,300 or less than $5,000 to protect your brand as opposed to $100,000 or $200,000 when you go to court, right? So it's best to start now to get this together. Like, we got to get this together, right? So if you need any help with these, if you have questions about what we talked about today about protecting your brand, please reach out to me at stephaniewynn.com. You can fill out the contact us form that's on the website. Also, and before we close out, at some point on your journey, you will encounter some type of ship. Friendships, relationships, partnerships, entrepreneurships. Whatever ship you choose, make sure that your ship is free from holes and that it is solid. And by this, I mean for the purposes of this episode, you want to make sure that you protect your brand. And how do you protect your brand? You make sure you have tools in place, documents in place, files in place, to where if someone comes on your platform to do an interview on your podcast or your live, Facebook Live, you are protected. You've protected your brand, right? If it's not, and then they come back for you, Could be a month later. That's a hole. You want a team of people that can help protect your brand to make sure that ship is solid. Because if it's not solid, well, we know what happens. It will sink. So again, thank you all. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Power Plug Radio. Hey, you all can tune in live. If you ever need to expand your business or event, Power Plug Radio can help. Understand that the importance of advertising and promotion in building your business is so key and vital. To help you build your business brand, Power Plug Radio offers digital and on-air sales. Advertising the Power Plug Radio listeners and followers allow your business to expand your marketing strategy, grow your consumer market, introduce your product or promotions to your customers, and increase sales, increase traffic to your business websites, and increase attendance to your events. I am Stephanie A. Wynn. Thank you for tuning in this week. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. This is Stephanie A. Wynn with Jumpstart Your Business. Have a great week.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams.